What's up, everybody? This is Nick, and you're listening to another flagship podcast of this little network we call Pull Up a Chair. And as always, I am joined by the judge himself and my co-host.
I don't know what I'm judging, but you got it. I will judge you so hard.
Eric.
Eric, yeah, that's it, Eric.
You know exactly what you're judging today, sir. For today, we have a great one for you. Last week, Eric, we talked about what?
Angus himself, Angus MacGyver.
Angus MacGyver.
Or Stacy MacGyver.
Or Stacy, or even we even talked about his little nephew, Clay, who just the cutest little guy. Kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
I want to...
Went on to hunt ghosts on Supernatural.
I do want to kind of correct one thing, though.
Did we have something wrong?
We did,
Maybe
actually.
the first time.
We did.
This is our first correction, guys. First ever.
Well, I wouldn't even say we were wrong as much as history had it wrong.
Oh, history had it wrong. Okay.
We talked about the name Alan Smithy.
Oh, yeah, Alan Smithy. It was the first director
of the first episode.
Of the first episode.
MacGyver.
And he directed one other thing under Alan Smithy.
He did. Well, we saw that. Now, we said that may have been the first use of the name Alan Smithy, and that is incorrect.
Oh, you found another one?
The name Alan Smithy was actually first used as a pseudonym was created for use on the film Death of a Gunfighter, released in 1969. During its filming, lead actor Richard Widmark was unhappy with director Robert Totten, so he had him replaced with Don Siegel. And so apparently this name has been used actually many times as a director of episodes of shows and movies.
So it's like, hey, I'm directing this. I don't really want my name on this. So Alan Smithy is this generic, no-name character, like invisible person that people will just attach to shows. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So I am today. Let's see.
Our show is always directed by Alan Smithy,
and I think both hosts and co-host is Alan Smithy and Alan Smithy. So,
well,
I don't know if I want my name attached to it. Actually, we do pretty good. God, we get loads of downloads, lots of fan mail.
Yeah,
it's great.
Then we wake up and it's
then we wake up.
It's back to what it is.
Then we stop daydreaming.
This pseudonym, however, was formally discontinued in the year 2000.
Like, you're not allowed to do it?
Well, I guess. I don't know. It was just...
That's really cool, though.
Somebody that I think...
How do you discontinue something that's random?
I think they retired it. He got like at the Hall of Fame, there's like a thing up there that, but I mean, it's also the year 2000, Y2K. Alan Smithy was
they were trying to halt.
Unfortunately, was a...
He was a scapegoat, maybe? Or
no, not a scapegoat.
A sacrificial...
He was one of the many people that died on Y2K.
Y2K there was a disaster, guys.
There was, and poor Mr. Alan Smithy.
He was one of the victims.
He was.
All right, what are you talking about Night Court tonight, though?
Well, we are, and by the way, I do want to bring up one other thing before we get going. We failed to mention the luxurious part of Mr. MacGyver.
What's that?
The mullet.
Oh, yeah. I love his mullet.
How could we ever forget that mullet, that luxurious piece of wafting, just coif?
Yes. That was some hair. It was classic 80s. Yeah, he wore it well. Well,
I just wanted to bring up those two items just so we knew where we were coming from. But tonight, like you just mentioned, sir, we are talking about none other than probably one of the greatest comedies of the 80s, Night Court.
Night Court. Very funny.
Very funny. I am very excited about this episode because there are a lot of things. Honestly, I loved the show, but there's a lot of things I didn't know about the show. So in my research, I learned quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
So, Eric, what do you have to tell me about this show, Night Court? What is it that you remember about it?
Okay, or
that you learned
to pump up for the show, we played the Night Court theme song.
Do 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 do. Do do do.
That's right. We played that. Wonderful. Man, how do you do that? You're
You're
amazing, Nick. You just
Do
man.
do.
It just sounds man, it sounds like there's an orchestra playing it now.
Do do do.
Okay. And as we were playing it, I had so many emotions, I could say, the feels they call them now, that came back, the nostalgia feel that we get high on every week. And they came back hardcore because even as a kid, this show started in 1984. I was 5 years old. I watched this show. I probably watched every episode of this show multiple times into syndication. And to this day, there's only one channel. Like, I'm not going to buy the series because I'm so cheap. The first season's only $10. I might buy the first season, but on Amazon. But it's only on one channel. It's on the Laugh Network, which you only get Dish Network in Oklahoma where we're at. So I don't get to watch the show now. But it brought back so many memories. I would sit down with my family and we would watch this show as a family I don't even remember when it aired. It wasn't during any block of shows. It was just on. Do you remember when it aired? Like what day of the week or whatever?
It lasted 9 seasons. And I'm not even sure that it stayed on the same day consistently.
I'm just trying to remember what it started at.
Well, it was January 4th, 1984 was the day it started. I'm not sure. I want to say that was seems like it was a Tuesday.
Let's see here. January 4th, Wednesday.
Oh, it was one day off.
One day off. Close. You're not autistic enough to be able to get that right off. So I'm sorry.
No.
Try harder.
No, I think it was a Tuesday.
So, but I remember sitting down and, in the beginning it's like, oh, it's a court show. It's not a cartoon. But what was the judge's name? Dan. Man.
Come on, sir.
Judge Harry
Stone.
Harry Stone. Okay. He was so funny and he did magic tricks, and that caught my attention straight away because what little kid didn't want to learn magic? And it became the show that we watched. It became a staple at our house. Watched it all the time. I was sad when it went off because I don't remember what came on after. It was not near as good. Like, Night Court was the highlight of my, I guess, Wednesday evening. And after that, it was just garbage TV and nothing was on, or something my parents wanted to watch. Apparently it was on NBC the entire time. It didn't have any other networks attached to it right now. Owned by Warner Brothers. Distributed by their distribution arm.
But you're right. I mean, it was on NBC. I do remember that. I mean, there's a lot about this show that was
at the end of the show. The production company or something like that. Not the production company. One of the film houses would have their slate at the end. You remember what it was?
I do not.
Sit, Ubu, sit.
Was it Sit, Ubu, sit?
Yeah.
Was this Ubu?
Yeah, I think so.
And he'd say, "Good dog," and he'd go,
dog.
"Ruff."
Yeah. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. I don't know if it's all seasons, but it was for sure attached to. That's the only reason I can remember it. Just like Deke Entertainment.
There were two of those things that I always remembered. It was Ubu, and then there was the one where the guy's like typing on the typewriter and he throws the piece of paper. And I don't remember which one that was, but I remember those two.
So I swear it was attached to this. I'm verifying, but I don't want to lie. But I know it happened after each episode. Well, all the episodes that I can remember. Did it not? Am I remembering wrong? How dare I remember something so iconic wrong?
Buddy, I don't know that it was it Ubu?
I don't know. Well, it was Warner Brothers, but
was Ubu
did they?
I'll tell you what.
I'll keep watching over this. And
you keep telling me what you remember about this. I will find out for certain.
Sure. Sounds good. So I remember sitting down watching, And one of my favorite characters was the bailiff. And you think I'm going to say Bull. But no,
What?
it's not. Bull was great.
Sir,
Bull's great.
You watch your language.
I
You
like
think I'm going to say bull?
I like Richard Mole as much as the next man. Richard Mole. Well, now what I remember Richard Mole from, for some reason, though I think he's only in the pilot episode, is Highlander. I remember him from Highlander. I think he's only in one episode, but I remember him from that. So I remember watching Highlander. It was Selma Hacker, played by the actress Selma Diamond, who is a comedian as well. But she died after the filming of the second season and was replaced by Florence, I think, was the one. No. Marsha Warfield was season 4 through 9. Florence Hallup was only in one season. I don't really remember Florence Hallup.
I do remember Florence
Do you?
Hallup, and this is the one that I was going to mention to you earlier, but you made me stop. So for the first 2 seasons, Selma Diamond played bailiff Selma Hacker. In 1985, at the age of
I remember her.
64, Diamond died of lung cancer.
Yep. She had that voice of a smoker, too. But it was so iconic and so good.
Yes. And then Florence Hallup replaced Diamond and played bailiff Florence Kleiner for 22 episodes.
And then,
But she passed away in 1986
86.
at the age of 63.
yes, I remember her now. I got a picture of her up, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember her.
She also died of lung cancer.
My goodness. It doesn't sound like...
And then Marsha Warfield was in her early 30s when she was cast as Roz Russell,
Uh-huh.
the next bailiff, and she is quoted as saying, "There's no way to say that this without sounding callous, but if the 2 women before me had been 33-year-old black women, I would have been really nervous about taking the part," Warfield said.
Instead of, like, incredibly old white women.
Well, my deal is this, is that I
That's
wonder
a weird thing to say.
I wonder if they went for a younger person or a younger woman this
Yeah.
time around, because they're like, okay, we got 2 women in their 60s and we killed them.
Pretty much. I got to say, the dichotomy between Richard Mole, who is a giant man, 6'8", playing Bull, is kind of like not dumb, but just not really slow. I never thought of him as slow or dumb, or just this gentle giant, just this gentle soul playing, protecting his friends, opposed to his cohort, a small, weaker, elderly lady. Both in Selma and Florence. That's great. That's a great balance. That's the odd couple. You know, that's a very common trope.
Right.
It is like an odd couple, and that is definitely an odd couple. And it worked beautifully, and I can see why they wanted to continue that. But they kept killing old white ladies, so.
Right. But I mean, here's the thing. I will say this. It was, like you said, it was a great odd couple. I was also a fan of Marsha Warfield.
Oh, Marsha did a great job.
I think her character kind of came into its own. I was glad that they never tried to make any of the bailiffs after Selma. I'm glad they didn't try to make them into another Selma.
No,
Each one had its own character.
Yeah, each one had their own voice. Yeah, Selma was that wisecracking, just grandma type.
Right.
That had that. Her voice, I'm just telling you, go to YouTube, look up Selma Diamond, and you'll hear that voice, that smoker voice that
eventually killed her.
Which eventually killed her. I'm sure she smoked a couple packs a day.
Probably.
I'm not sure, but man, she had that smoker voice, but it's so iconic. It's she's a great comedian. I don't know if Florence was a comedian. I know Marsha Warfield, when she left the show, she went on to do more comedy, but she's a stand-up comedian and a very, very good one.
Well, and Marsha Warfield played more of like a straight character.
Yeah.
Where she was
definitely.
I mean, there were many episodes where everybody was just scared of her. She
intimidated.
Yes.
Intimidating. Yeah.
She was just this really tough character. In fact, there's one episode, if I remember correctly, where somebody is trying to run away and they just run into her and bounce off of her.
Yes.
And there was always the joke of her just being like this really tough lady.
Well, the thing is, remember, like, Selma and Florence were these small old ladies,
But they were
opposed-
tough.
tough, opposed to Bull, a giant, gentle giant. And then you had basically Marsha Warfield as being this hard, very grizzled character next to this soft, very cuddly individual that is Bull, and how he doesn't want to hurt anybody, wherein her talking to someone can hurt someone because she's such a forceful character.
Well, yeah, and that's the way that it was. I also wanted to, point out. It was an Ubu production.
Oh, it was.
It was a Sid Ubu production. I mean,
Okay.
it was Family Ties being another one.
Okay.
There's a whole list.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of. Are they still around? I haven't seen anything since maybe the early to mid '90s.
I think that's when it ended.
Okay.
I think that's what they said is like it ended in 1990.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I guess with syndication, you would still see stuff occasionally. But I didn't know what it was said. As a kid, I didn't really pay attention to the words on the screen. I thought it was sit. What did I think it said? I'm trying to remember what I thought it said. It wouldn't. I didn't. Because I don't know what Ubu was. I'm assuming it's a homage to some guy's dog because of what it is. But I thought it was sit, boo boo. Boo boo's what I thought it was. Sit, boo boo, sit. That's what I thought it said. So I was like, what? That makes more sense than Ubu.
Let's see. Ubu Productions Incorporated is an independent production company founded in 1982 by television producer Gary David Goldberg, who died of brain cancer in 2013. Ubu's notable productions include Family Ties, Broken Bridge, Spin City. Ubu co-produced many of its shows with Paramount Television and in later years, DreamWorks Television.
Oh, really? Well, Spin City was on in the 90s.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was wrong. They had quite a few. I mean, they've still got quite a few things out there.
Oh, okay, good. That's awesome.
Just let you know. Let's see here. The mascot dog is Goldberg's dog, Ubu Roy, a black Labrador retriever, which he had in college and subsequently traveled the world with. The closing tag for Ubu Productions is a photograph of Ubu Roy with a flying disc in his mouth taken in the Tuileries Garden close to the Louvre Museum in Paris. Along with the picture is Goldberg's voice saying, "Sit Ubu sit, good dog," followed by the sound of a bark. The dog was named after Alfred Jarry 1896 play Ubu Roy, considered the precursor to the theater of absurd. Ubu the dog died in 1984. There we go.
Died in 1984.
Now you know the whole
So it
history.
died the year the show came out.
Yes.
Oh, really? Huh.
The greatest show is the same year the dog died.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, Night Court is a great show. I don't know if it's the greatest show.
Sir? No, you're right.
Well,
It may not be.
it has a fantastic character, a great set of actors. One being John Le Roquette, who went on to do various other lawyer-y shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he did some of the other ones. I can't remember all the names. He seems a very lawyer-y character. Didn't he have a show on right now?
Who? John Larroquette?
Yeah, I thought he had a show on right now. Like
No.
Me, Myself, and I.
Oh, yes. He's in that show. I don't know how that show's doing.
I remember hearing about it, but not much of it before then.
John Larroquette actually took himself out of the running after he won four Emmys for his show. For this show, by the way.
He's fantastic. I mean, he went on to do such great things as Second Sight with Balki Bartokomous.
Is he in that with Balki Bartokomous?
Yeah, he's the other main character.
It is like the coming together of two great worlds.
That's right.
I am
Who doesn't love
amazed.
Bronson Peacock? Who doesn't love him? And John Larroquette. They should come back. I'm telling you. Second Sight 2 needs to happen.
Second Sight 2. 40 years afterwards, the world has been clamoring for a
2019.
Second Sight 2.
Second Sight 2 needs to come out. Original in 1989. Every 30 years, a Second Sight should come out. It should be called Third Sight or Fourth Sight. It's called Fourth. Dude, by twos. It's called Foresight. Then we got Sixth Sight. Foresight sounds like something else, though. That sounds kind of weird.
Yes.
He did John Larroquette did a lot of great stuff. He was
No,
the
I've
bad guy
always-
in Richie Rich.
Honestly, I've always enjoyed John Larroquette in anything he's been in. He did a lot of television shows. See, scroll down and you'll see a bunch of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did a bunch of television shows where he was just great. He's a great actor. I didn't.
Oh, he's in The Librarians up till now. I've never got into that show. It sounds very much like something I would watch. I didn't know he was in that. I'm actually take more of an effort to watch it now.
But I mean, I mean, he said here that it was about taking himself out of the running.
Yeah.
Because he won 4 Emmys in a row for this.
Yeah, he did. 85, 86, 87,
88.
and 88.
And then he took himself out of
Oh, my
the
goodness.
running because he said, quite frankly and honestly, I didn't think the work that I had done was as good as it was, only partially because Reinhold had left by then and new producers had come in, and more selfishly, quite honestly, I knew that the character had made a really deep impression on the American public and on studios and producers and directors and writers, but it was going to end someday. I wanted to fade into the background with this guy a little bit so that there would be a possibility of eventually doing something else.
Oh, that's smart. That's a smart move. Go on, you create this iconic character, which he was, very much so. I mean, oh man, such a good character.
Well, he had to. He said that every role he was getting, he was typecast as a sleazy lawyer.
Yes.
And he played it very well, but I can also understand if that's all you're getting.
Yeah.
When you are, I mean, like I said, I've enjoyed most of the things I've seen him in. Anytime he plays a character, he does it very well.
Yep.
And
Second Sight.
yeah, I mean that's an example.
Bad movie, but he does a good job in it. Bronson
did-
Peacock does.
I
Too.
think-
It's bad writing.
I think he is a great actor. I just think
I think he's too. I mean,
and I think he did a smart move. I think he was right. He was ready to move on.
yeah, definitely.
But let's break down the characters here really quick.
Sure.
Harry Anderson, like you mentioned, he played. I'm sorry, Harry T. Stone, the judge. Harry Anderson played the character.
Yes.
You had this judge who was appointed by the outgoing. He explains in one of the episodes that he was given the assignment because of the outgoing mayor of NYC made a huge number of appointments on his last day, and Harry was the only person on the judge's list who was home and was able to receive the call and accept the nomination.
Wow.
I love that that's the backstory of the. Basically, he just, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, he was on the list of possible judges, and
He just happened to be home.
He got called to the big show. Basically, what it
Right.
was. Yeah, he's just young. He's a magician. He was doing magic tricks and making jokes. So I enjoyed it. Man, such a good character. He played so well. When the show ended, I really wanted to see him do something else. I really did. Like I didn't after the show. I don't think he did too much.
Well,
I mean,
he did have a show called like Dave's World or
Dave's World. Yeah, I remember that. Dave's World, right?
yeah, I thought he was. Now I also enjoyed him. He had a few stints on.
Yeah, that's not my type of shoe though. Shoe.
He had a few stints on Cheers that were hilarious.
Yes, I remember.
Did you
that.
ever
That's
see
what-
where he guest starred and he would do those? He would do magic tricks.
Yeah.
but he was a con man.
But that was before. That was before, Night Court. That's what got him the role on Night Court, if I remember correctly.
Actually,
It's Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live
That's what
played
got
a
him the
part in Harry. In real life, Harry Anderson is a magician, and at the time of the show's casting, he had a stint on SNL. He had also been on Cheers, so
Yep.
you're partly right. One of Night
Completely
Court's
right.
do what?
I'm completely right.
Completely right. One of it was also SNL. You said you thought it got him the entire job, but no, it was
Okay,
SNL
okay.
and Cheers. Look, sir, take your glass half empty and.
okay. Okay.
One of
thanks.
Night Court's producers, Jeff Melman, and his wife were watching Anderson stick a needle through his arm on SNL and thought he'd be a good for the part. The name Harry and the fact that he did magic was a coincidence, Weege said on TV Tales. Harry said he was the guy, and I'll be damned if he turned out to be that guy.
Okay.
That's what the man said. This is history now.
Wow.
Harry Anderson became Harry T. Stone.
Yeah. Did a wonderful job.
By the way, without looking, do you know the name of the actress and the singer who he was obsessed with?
The actress, no. The singer, unfortunately, in doing all my reading, I do know that only because I did reading today, and that's Mel Torme.
Mel Torme, who showed up, you mentioned it. How many episodes?
I think he showed up in like 6 episodes.
6 episodes, and it's Jean Harlow, by the way, that was
Jean Harlow.
That was,
interesting. I'm gonna
he
take a little gander with my vision sockets.
Buddy, you
Harlow.
go right ahead. But let me also, I'm going to break down a few more people that you had on this show. You had, most notably, you had Marky Post on seasons 3 through
Marky
9,
Post.
who played a public defender.
Yep.
She played the opposite of John Larroquette. He was always the prosecutor and remained that way for pretty much the entire run. I mean, it was the entire run.
Yeah, he was to the very last.
His name was actually Reinhold Daniel Felding Elmore, who used the name of Daniel R. Dan Felding. Christine Sullivan was Marky Post's character. Before her was a public defender and potential romantic interest for Harry Stone of Billy Young, played by Ellen Foley. And then there was a Paula Kelly after season 1, after the pilot, prior to the addition of Mac. And then there was Gail Strickland, who played Sheila Gardner in the pilot episode. But, I mean, you had, and I'm not going to try to tell you who all those people are, but, and like we already said, you had the bailiffs, you had Richard Mall, who was pretty much, every season he was there. He was there from the beginning.
Great.
But he had a lot of...
He had some episodes that revolved heavily around him.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit.
Him and like love interest, I think there's one. There's one with like him and a kid. That might be the same one with the love
Here's
interest.
the thing, though. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today. Every show in the 80s had kind of their mascot character.
Yep.
And I would say that Bull was the mascot character of Night Court.
Yes, everyone liked Bull.
Everybody liked Bull.
But he was the signpost of the show. Like he was always the steadfast character.
Well, yeah,
that everyone else could depend on and pivot off of for their time.
Anytime they did like a commercial, he was always, they'd rotate other cast members, but he would always be like the one that was like, he was always playing the funny guy.
Yeah.
But he would always be the one that would be in those commercials. He was kind of the one that was most well known. He was kind of like, and when I say they have a mascot, when I think of that, I think of like with Family Matters, you had Urkel.
Yes.
You had these characters that were just the most well-known character on the show.
Let's think of a few of these. Okay. But like a show that's not based around a specific character, but a character stands out, such as Family Matters and Urkel. Night Court with Bull. I wouldn't say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because it's really based around Will Smith's character.
It is, but Carlton was kind of the one that everybody knew.
He really grew big out of that.
I mean, he was kind of that.
Cheers? Who do you think is on Cheers?
You had Woody Harrelson. Woody.
Well,
it's either that. You would
a lot of good characters in Cheers.
Yeah, I was going to say, it would either be Woody or you'd have to go with, I would almost give that to two people. You'd go with Norm and Cliff Clavin.
Yeah, I would. The duo. I say that's a duo.
That's a duo. But 100%. I mean, I would take that back because Woody wasn't there from the very beginning.
That's right. Once Woody got on there, he really became...
He became well known off of it.
Very much so. Woody Harrelson.
I mean, character. I was thinking of Cheers. I thought of Cheers earlier where you had Cliff and Norm. But, I mean, you had those kind of shows. You even had like, I mean... the TGIF was just rife with them.
Yeah, you had them Peacock on Perfect Strangers, as we talked about. Go watch Second Sight.
That was him. Then you had Step by Step. You had that cousin that lived in the
cool cousin.
The cool cousin. He was kind of the the one
Isn't
that
that the one that beat his?
he ended up beating his wife, but you know,
He was gone pretty quick. We talked about that on a different episode.
yeah, we did. Go back and watch that episode. But you know, these shows kind of had that. I mean, that was something the comedies had.
Well, let's think about it nowadays. Let's what is a sitcom or what's a sitcom even now?
Well, I mean,
You watch the Goldbergs. What is the Goldbergs kind of mascot character? The kind of the character that is
it would be Barry, the brother that's
the older
that's-
brother.
Yeah, that's kind of wacky and
Okay, I don't
He-
watch the show. It's a funny show. I've caught it maybe an episode total
Yeah.
in all the amount of time I watched.
but I mean, even Seinfeld, you had
Kramer, 100%.
that everybody knew. I mean, we could do this. I mean,
I'm happy to do this all
you
day
had
long.
you had Barry plus you. I mean, other shows that like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. They have a whole cast of.
Oh man, that's a
but,
great.
but most people know the secretary.
Oh yeah,
that-
Tina.
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 Yeah. I mean, most people. That's who most
She's
people think.
amazing.
People love on that show. I mean, this is the way comedies work. They have that one character that's just kind of a standout, goofy character.
Yeah, this is just an off the wall
That-
attitude and
that people
personality. Either it's like super gentle, or in Tina's thing, it's super harsh and sharp. Very true though. Oh man, that's great. I like that. I like talking about this stuff. This is
But-
fun, guys. This is fun stuff we talk about.
You also have the court clerks. You had a Karen Wagner or Karen Austin playing Lana Wagner in the first season. But do you know who came in after that? The one that everybody knows,
Yeah, you said him already, Mac.
Mac.
The court clerk Mac. He became like the father figure of the group. You know, whereas you had John Larroquette's character, Reinhold. He was the womanizer. You had, I'm going to go from season 3 because that's when the cast really comes together. Marky Poe's character is Christina Sullivan. She was the justice seeker, like straight and true, the perfectly good aligned.
Who was the character? Who was she obsessed with, by the way?
Who?
Princess Diana.
Oh, really?
She had a bunch of Princess Diana memorabilia, and I remember episodes
Oh,
where they
that's right.
talked
She had
about.
the plates.
Do you also remember where she ended up after the last episode?
She became judge.
I thought she became a senator.
She became a senator?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Marky Post, smoking hot. Oh, man, she was smoking hot in Night Court. Nick, what do you think of Marky Post in Night Court?
She was cute.
Cute, you know.
I agree.
That is Nick's generic for like any girl he thinks is good looking, and he calls them girls,
She
and he
was-
calls them cute.
She was very cute. She was a cute girl.
Yeah, Marky Post, a very attractive woman.
What was Bull's catchphrase, by the way?
Oh, what? Hold on. Give me. Oh man, I feel so bad. I should know this.
And this is the other thing
Oh,
that
I
went
should
with.
know this.
This is the other thing that went with a 1980s comedy.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean,
That's it, right?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
It's okay, or what? How did he do it? He was like okay, or something like that. That sounded more Canadian.
Okay.
He also used to clap. Remember, he used to do the face palm
Oh, facepalm. I remember
to
that.
his forehead when he realized he'd made a mistake. Do you remember what happened to him in the final episode?
Didn't he die? Go to jail. He went to jail.
No, he was beamed up, sir. Remember, he had a really big thing for aliens.
Oh, that's right.
And at the end, he gets these little guys show up and they take him away.
Yep. Okay.
But I mean, this
Oh man,
was a fun show. I enjoyed this show thoroughly.
I really want to buy it. Man, I really want to.
You want to go back and
every
relive
week.
it,
I'm
huh?
like, I wish I should buy some of these seasons. Let's go to Amazon. I want to buy season 3 at least. Amazon, and we'll see how much season 3 of Night Court cost. Because that's, in my opinion, the first 2 seasons are good, but at season 3, which is a rare thing, that's where the show really comes together. And nowadays, it's like season 1 and 2 are great, and season 3 goes to garbage in most series nowadays.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Seinfeld, the first season wasn't great. Second season wasn't
I mean, how
bad.
old? Seinfeld's 20 years old, though. I'm talking about
You're talking about recent.
recently.
Yeah, I might agree with that. I mean, sometimes it takes a little while for shows to get going.
get legs.
There was a crossover with a show called My Two Dads. Do you remember this show?
I do remember the show My Two Dads. I not a ton. What did?
Every once in a while, a lady by the name of Florence Stanley, who played Judge Margaret Wilbur, would occasionally fill in for Harry. She wouldn't tolerate the staff's unusual eccentricities or whatever. Eccentrics? I don't know.
Words.
Anyway, they would it was a crossover with My Two Dads where Bull Shannon actually made some crossovers.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
cool.
By the way, I want to bring this up. Speaking of Bull, do you know why he was bald?
Like in the series, or why he was bald for that character?
What was the reasoning behind Bull's bald head, do you think?
I read the story already.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't read it on what you're looking at. I read it on I think it was on Richard Moll's Wikipedia page.
Oh, okay.
But read it out there.
Well, Richard Moll starred in an obscure B movie, which I'm sure it's one of the greatest movies ever
What's
made.
it called? See if I can find it.
Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin.
What?
Did you write?
That's a long name.
Did you type all that, sir? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, you can get it
For $27.
That's a really expensive. That's on Blu-ray 3D.
Buddy,
Why is that?
You know what? You can get it for $6.99 on just a regular DVD.
Oh,
I don't need to see Richard Moll in 3D.
why is this on Blu-ray 3D?
I don't know, man.
What? This doesn't make sense.
I think it's probably become a cult classic, maybe.
I guess.
Anyway, for the film, he had to shave his head. Around that time, Moll got called in to audition for Night Court. And so it said that Weege said on ETV Tales Night Court that the 6'8" bald actor wasn't what he envisioned for the character, but he liked Moll's acting. And honestly, I think that was a great casting choice, honestly.
I think it sure set a great undertone for the series of this. He's like that pure character. He's just the moral center.
Oh, yeah, he's the innocent one.
Innocent. Whereas Mac is the fatherly figure. We have Harry as the jokester, the Loki, the character causing mischief.
Well, I mean, that was who he was.
Yeah, that's his character. Then you have John Larroquette's character, Reinhold, being the dark. He's the lust and the...
Well, he was a lustful character, but he also was just a kind of a snarky character. I mean, I would even say Christine Poe or Marky Poe's character. I can't remember.
Christine something.
Yeah, whatever her character's name was.
Sullivan.
I would even call her kind of a light character. I mean, she was kind of snarky toward Dan,
yeah.
but
yeah, she was. What is that? Let's go with like it. Bull was more like a neutral,
child.
Yeah, just neutral, very neutral character, where she's a very righteous character, like,
right?
And yeah, and then you had the various different other bailiffs come through that played off that duo, like we talked about already. Man, it's just a good balance in the show.
I do like this quote. Whenever they were talking about the bald thing, apparently Weege basically said to Richard Moll, "I want you to keep that hair balding," and Moll responded, "Are you kidding? I will shave my legs for the part."
Whoa, wow, he valued that part pretty high.
He did.
Man, when I saw the first time I saw him with hair, I think was, I mentioned already, Highlander. In the pilot series of Highlander, he's in there and he introduces some of the characters to each other, and he has a hair and a beard, and he looks so abnormal because I grew up with him for nearly a decade as a bald, childlike, innocent character.
And then you see him act serious. I remember seeing him on, there was some show where he was playing a bad guy, and it took me a while to recognize who he was, just because he was playing the villain.
Yeah, so what is it where he plays a villain?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to think about that. He's got his Wikipedia page looks weird. Let's see. A movie where Richard Moll is a Dungeon Master. I don't know.
Ghost Shark. There's what it is. 2013 Ghost Shark.
Shark. That's a name. That's a
I hope that's a sci-fi movie in the vein of Sharknado. It
supernatural.
is a sci-fi. Woo!
Yeah, supernatural horror film directed by Sci-Fi Television Network by Griff Furist. Joined by
Sci-Fi, you
wow.
never let me down. I can look at your titles and guess what if it's a sci-fi movie.
You're a genius. He was in the Flintstones movie in 1994. We need to talk about that. A set of like that really weird time when a bunch of
the dark time is what we call it.
Cartoons got movies, and that's one of them, the Flintstones movie.
And I'm going to make a comment here about that, going along those same lines.
Sidekick.
If there is a movie that is a great movie, and it's good to know that he's in that. But if there is a movie or a show that needs a reboot, bring me Night Court.
Well, okay, with the same characters or new characters? I mean, obviously, all the major characters are still around.
Well, I don't know that I would want a reunion so much as reboot the show.
Something in the vein of Night Court. I'll agree. There's not a lot of all the courtroom dramas had really are dramas now. All the courtroom shows are dramas now. But I mean, talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which took a cop theme, which has always been a very dramatic show, and made it very funny. I mean, it hadn't been since like Chips in those early days that you've had a really good funny cop. What's another funny cop show? Do you think of one?
Funny cop show?
Yeah, like in the vein of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or Chips is kind of like a lighthearted.
Well, it was lighthearted, but it was still considered serious.
Yeah.
I would say another cop comedy, Law and Order SVU.
Very much so. It makes me laugh.
Oh yeah,
I laugh all the time.
A lot of comedic moments there.
I like that.
There's a lot of facts about this show that honestly make me appreciate the show a bit more. One thing that the Weege guy said, the guy that made the show,
Reinhold. It's Reinhold Weege.
Is that his name?
It is. Yeah, Reinhold Weege.
Anyway, he said that they on purpose stayed away from serious topics. They weren't afraid to be politically incorrect, which is something I appreciate, because I think a lot of shows get lost in that political correctness. But that was something they avoided, like heavy issues. They weren't out to make a point. They were just out to have a good time and be funny.
I do get tired of comedy shows trying to make, like MASH did that, which Reinhold Weege, I think he was one of the creators of MASH, if I remember right. One of the creators or writers for MASH. Let's see here. Yes. Weege wrote for several television series, including Barney Miller and MASH. And MASH had some very heavy episodes, which are honestly my least favorite episodes when it comes to MASH. And I'm glad Night Court never did it. Now, there were some episodes that tugged at the heartstrings. Some episodes were bull. Like I mentioned before, he had a love interest, I think, in one show. And then another one, and maybe it was with this one, there was a kid who became real attached to him that he couldn't keep or couldn't be with anymore. Of course, it's a show in one episode
I think there was an episode like that.
And that kind of thing. I mean, look at Boy Meets World did that too. Remember Eric Matthews?
Right.
And then later on in is it the end of Boy Meets World, or is it Girl Meets World? That character, that young boy that got real attached to Eric Matthews comes back. It's really good. Really good episode. Tugged at the heartstrings. Good stuff. But MASH covered a lot of heavy topics. I don't remember Barney Miller covering anything heavy. But that's Barney Miller. There you go. There's a sitcom that's based around a police department. I don't remember a ton of the Barney Miller storylines, to be honest with you.
Well, that was before our time.
I mean, yes, very much so.
I mean,
very much so. It ran to 1982. I was alive. It was just before I really started.
Watched a little bit of Barney Miller on Nick at Night. But it wasn't just something I stuck to.
Yeah, not something you're like, hey, I'm gonna go watch me some Barney Miller.
Yes.
That's interesting. So that was a cop drama.
By the way, there is a Seinfeld connection on this show and a Star Trek The Next Generation connection on
I
this
know the
show.
Star Trek Next Generation connection already.
Do you? What is the Star Trek Next Generation connection?
Data.
What did he do? What did he play?
He played a bum, like a hillbilly. A hillbilly.
From what country?
Well, I don't know. Probably they always like to do like Slovakia or something like that.
You, sir, are correct.
Yeah, I remember that. Him and his wife.
A Yugoslavian hillbilly named Elmo that he created. He showed up in 6 episodes.
Wow.
Performing criminal acts like the illegal detonation of poultry.
That's pretty good. I like that. Illegal detonation of poultry.
Which, by the way, what is it? There was another character on television at this time that kind of sounds like a hillbilly Yugoslavian, in my opinion.
A hillbilly.
We mentioned him already. Perfect Strangers.
Oh, you're talking about
Balky Bartokamus.
Balky Bartokamus. Bronson Peacock.
But let me bring in the Seinfeld thing. Michael Richards appeared naked on Nick at Night.
What?
And I remember this episode.
What?
In the second
I don't
season,
remember this.
In the second season, and I didn't realize it was him until I was reading the description. I do remember this. Richards played Eugene Slaybo, a man who thought he was invisible. He stood before the court accused of robbing an apartment because he thought that nobody could see him, when in fact hundreds of people did. They probably have some kind of heat-sensing device, Slaybo offered. Yes, it's called sunlight, Fielding retorted. At the end of the episode, Slaybo, I'm going to pronounce it every other way on this, but Slaybo returned to court, but this time in his birthday suit, as he thought his invisibility hadn't worked because he'd been wearing clothes.
Wow, that's amazing. Now there you go. Have it up playing that his little
his scene.
And this is so in this one, Harry is he lost his vision.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is season 2 or 1.
This is season 2.
Season 2. Okay. I was just looking at the not the prosecutor, but the defense attorney. So, oh wow, that's crazy. It's kind of
before he did Seinfeld and before he was up on stage yelling explicitives and calling people inappropriate names. Michael Richards was on Night Court.
You know, he was in that how was it called? Oh man, the guy that made Seinfeld, he had that other show. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Barney Miller.
Not Barney Miller. You know what I'm talking about. I never got into it. What's his name? What's the guy that made the show?
Reinhold.
No, not. You're killing me. Who made Seinfeld?
Oh, Larry David.
Larry David's other show.
You're talking about Larry David's show.
The Larry David Show. Basically, the Larry David Show. During the...
Hang on. I'll look it up. You go ahead.
Pardon my mess. No, I don't remember.
Pardon the interruption. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Oh, well, he was on the reunion of that show. I think it was the reunion of it, apologizing for that rant he did. Well, it wasn't even a rant. He basically said the N-word over and over and over to a audience member.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even funny. It was just like out of a derogatory...
I think he just kind of had a meltdown, to be honest.
100% meltdown. And in the reunion...
Not that I'm making excuses for him, but...
In the reunion episode of the show...
You're talking about that Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's it. Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think it was a reunion episode that he's on that show apologizing during a bit.
Yes.
So, if you haven't seen that. Didn't you tell me about that?
I think Ryan told us about that.
Ryan? Okay.
But I think it's and even... Is that Terry Hatcher? That's Terry Hatcher.
Oh, we have Night Court just rolling on the, on the computer.
So there is a Lois and Clark Superman.
Did you like Lois and Clark?
I did.
I kind of like got really old after
After
fourth or fifth season.
Yeah, fourth or fifth season, I was
on for 10
done.
years.
But the first few seasons were good.
Yeah, first few seasons were pretty good.
There were. I'm sure if we were to go back, and we don't have time to really look it up too much, but I'm sure if we were to go back and really look and see who all the Night Court guest stars were, I'm fairly certain we'd run into
Terry
quite a
Hatcher
few
is not in
names.
this list that I have of Night Court supporting roles, which has
Terry Hatcher's in the list I'm looking at.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, let's see. We had Fran Drescher was in an episode. Yeah, please don't ever do that again.
What was that show? The one where she was the maid?
I think it was like The Nanny.
The Nanny. Yeah, The Nanny. That's it.
Let's see here. I'm recognizing some people, but I'm not seeing anybody that were other big names to come out of it. I mean, I wouldn't even... Robert V. Barron was on there,
Who's
sir.
that? I don't know who that is.
That man, he's the man that really nailed the character of Abraham Lincoln in...
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
No.
Okay.
No. Be excellent to each other.
Oh, yeah. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, so he's Abraham Lincoln in that.
Yeah.
You recognize him from that?
That's the picture they used for him here. Michael J. Fox was in an episode.
Oh, really? Spin City himself.
Yeah.
Ubu Connection.
Ubu Connection. Well, I mean, he was also in Family Ties.
That's true.
Which is an Ubu connection.
Big one.
Let's see here. I mean, we're gonna have to wrap this up, but
oh yeah, we got. I just pulled the timer up, and yeah, we were running at the end of time.
I mean, this is. Robert Englund was on the show.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the man who frightens everybody. The man who's known for his character, Freddy Krueger. All right, everybody, that's all we have time for. Eric, you, sir, where can they find us? Can you direct them to the Mr. Judge? Can you please direct them to where they need to go?
Well, I find Night Court guilty of being a hilarious sitcom of the 80s.
It was a great show.
It was, and you can find us all over this internet. You can find us at YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher. What's another one, Nick? What's that one you like to talk about?
Podbean.
iTunes,
Stitcher.
Yeah, I said those.
I know,
Thank you
already
very
been
much.
there.
No, that Microsoft product.
Zunify.
You can find us there.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's a real thing. It's probably not, but I'm going with it. Zunify. Microsoft, hit me up and we'll talk about how to get that started.
Get Zoom going again.
Yeah.
You can find us all those places. Just type in Pull Up a Chair Podcast and you will find our beautiful voices, but not our faces. And you can find us at our own website, puckpodcast.website, pucpodcast.website.
Why website?
I don't know, just because. Because I rule it to be in contempt of being awesome. Because it's really not. It's just what we call the place.
But, sir, if Your Honor, if I may, I'm sorry. If the people like us, though, they need to leave likes and subscribes. As an American, it is our jobs to tell each other how we're doing. And that's why people should leave a comment, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
All right. Well, we hope you had yourself a good time listening to this podcast. We enjoyed it, and we hope you did too. And as always, have yourself a great Night Court.
All right, bye.